Proszę Państwa, kolejnym mówcą będzie nasz gość z Brukseli, ambasador Dirk Brengelman, który reprezentuje sekretarza generalnego podczas dzisiejszej konferencji. Ambasador jest odpowiedzialny za politykę międzynarodową, jest odpowiedzialny za doradztwo w zakresie political affairs i w zakresie polityki bezpieczeństwa. Nie jest przypadkiem, że gościmy dzisiaj wysokiego przedstawiciela kwatery głównej NATO. To przecież od 16 lat Instytut Studiów Strategicznych zajmuje się tematyką natowską. Nie jest też przypadkiem, że po takim przełomie, jaki dokonał się w ciągu ostatnich lat w funkcjonowaniu Sojuszu Atlantyckiego, zamierzamy temu poświęcić chwilę naszej refleksji. W ostatnich latach Sojusz zmienił swoje oblicze, angażując się z jednej strony w bardzo trudną operację w Afganistanie, z drugiej strony przeprowadzając niezbędne dostosowanie swoich struktur, swoich polityk, swojej koncepcji strategicznej do aktualnych wydarzeń, do aktualnych wyzwań, które tworzy środowisko bezpieczeństwa. Mam nadzieję, że o tych sprawach ambasador będzie dzisiaj mówił. Tematem jego referatu są rezultaty szczytu w Chicago. Przypomnę, że zarówno szczyt w Chicago, jak i wcześniejszy szczyt w Lizbonie w sposób bardzo istotny zdeterminowały oblicze Sojuszu Północnoatlantyckiego na najbliższe lata. Ambassador, the floor is yours. Let me welcome you here to the stage and thanks a lot for your coming to Krakow and for those ideas that you are going to deliver to the audience.
Thank you very much, and you just referred to the strategic concept and that this was also a matter of adaptation. And I believe there's a huge difference between NATO of today and NATO of the times of the Cold War, so to say, because yes, we have a new strategic concept, but I believe the truth of the matter is that we are an organization which is in constant transformation and always in a need to adapt to new circumstances. And I think NATO has proven itself to be quite able to do so, because you remember there has always been this issue of quo vadis NATO, and NATO had to find different answers to different circumstances, and I think it managed quite well to do so. I'm representing an alliance of 28 nations, so I'm a little afraid that my speech will be a little bit more sober than the speech you just have heard of the Estonian president, because I'm representing, as I said, 28 nations, and I'm an international civil servant. So you will bear with me that I will perhaps have a little less of personal emotion which I can give to my speech. As you had heard before, this institute enjoys quite a great reputation when it comes to work on Poland and its place in the European Union and its work on NATO. So I'm delighted to have a chance here today to talk about this organization, NATO. And as I had mentioned already in reading out the letter of the Secretary General earlier this week, we had a meeting of NATO foreign ministers at our headquarters in Brussels, and as I said, one major theme was the deployment of Patriot missiles to augment Turkey's air defense capabilities. And that was a very clear sign of solidarity, as I had said. Our heads of state and government showed that same unity of purpose when they met in Chicago in May of this year. Our Chicago summit took significant decisions that will shape the continuing evolution of the alliance. And our work now in the headquarters is very much focused on turning these political decisions into reality. In our mind, the three major headings in Chicago were and continue to be Afghanistan, capabilities, and our partnerships. First, Afghanistan. Our mission there remains NATO's highest operational priority. And let me use this opportunity to pay tribute to the Polish contribution. For the past 8 years, you have sustained an important presence in Afghanistan. We are now seeing clear progress in our transition process in helping the Afghan authorities to take responsibility for security in their own country. As our Afghan partners assume more and more responsibility and become more and more capable, our own forces are able to focus more on training and less on combat. But the end of our combat role in 2014 does not mean the end of our commitment. At Chicago, we agreed to plan for a new NATO-led post-ISAF mission. This mission will be focusing on training, advice, and assistance to the Afghan security forces. 8 partner nations have already offered to join us in this effort. However, security is only one part of the problem, and therefore NATO can only be one part of the solution. We need the support of the other players of the international community. And Afghanistan leaders also have an important responsibility for the country's future as well. They have to live up to their commitment, also expressed in Chicago, to improve governance, fight corruption, hold fair elections, and ensure the protection of human rights, including the rights of women. The second priority area of work within the alliance at this moment is ensuring that NATO has the right capabilities to carry out its 3 core roles set down in the new strategic concept. That is collective defense, crisis management, and cooperative security. At Chicago, we acknowledge the difficulties of acquiring and deploying these capabilities in the current economic climate, and we agreed a way forward to overcome them. We set ourselves the goal of what we call in NATO jargon, NATO Forces 2020, forces that are well-equipped, well-trained, and able to operate effectively with allies as well as with partners, because partners' contribution have very much been a hallmark of the last years. To help us reach this goal, we agreed to pursue 2 separate initiatives. One is our Connected Forces initiative, which is focused on training and the connectivity with our partners and within the alliance is a major hallmark of this initiative. As we begin to draw down from our operations, we have to place a greater emphasis on NATO-led training and exercises, including with a revitalized NATO response force. This will be of great benefit for our Article 5 commitments as well as for our other requirements. So we don't think we are necessarily in a contradiction there, but I know that for this country, this is an important part of the debate. The other key initiative that will help us achieve our NATO Forces 2020 goal is smart defense in NATO jargon. This is a new guiding principle for capability development, and it's all about greater prioritization, specialization, and most importantly, multinational cooperation. And that has also a strong political aspect to it, because once you have this kind of modus of operandi, you also need to be sure that you can use them in a moment of need, and that is what we call the presumption of availability. One of the most high-profile multinational capability projects actually is missile defense. All 28 allies have agreed to invest over $1 billion in the command and control and communications infrastructure needed to support the NATO ballistic missile defense system. Together with Poland, Romania, Turkey, and Spain have agreed to host United States missile defense assets, and these hosting arrangements are a crucial contribution to the NATO system. While progress on missile defense among allies is going well, progress on missile defense cooperation with Russia is not yet going as well as we would like. We still hope we can reach agreement with Russia over how we can work together on this vital capability, and it was part of the debate which we had at the recent ministerial meeting when the NATO-Russia Council met informal session with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Just like NATO, Russia also faces, we believe, a growing threat from missile proliferation, and it makes sense for us to work together in addressing that threat. It is this notion of finding common solutions to common concerns that lies at the heart of the third major area of work in NATO, partnerships. NATO's partnerships over the past 2 decades have been a success story. For all our partners, political consultations are a priority. Many also choose to make extremely valuable contributions in other fields, such as participating in our operations. Only take ISAF, 28 allies and 22 partners, or providing political and financial support to our operations and other activities. Here in Europe, 4 partners aspire to join the alliance. We want to see the day when Europe is finally free, whole, and at peace, and that is why NATO's door remains open. But it's not an automatic door. Any nation wishing to join NATO needs to demonstrate that it is ready to assume the obligations and responsibilities of membership. And that requires a strong commitment to reform and to the democratic values that are central to our alliance. The recent elections in Georgia, for example, were an historic moment in that country's democratic development. Georgia completed free and peaceful parliamentary elections, and it is now important that all sides work together for the good of the country and to further consolidate reforms in democratic institutions. And we just had a meeting of the NATO Georgia Commission when 4 ministers met, and there was a good debate about this. Another important partner country is Ukraine, and I know how important that is also for this country. And the alliance stands ready to further assist Ukraine in its reforms, because an independent, sovereign, and stable Ukraine, firmly committed to democracy and the rule of law, is key to Euro-Atlantic security. In this respect, I would like to recognize the presence of the former Ukrainian Foreign Minister Tarasyuk, who I know for many years has been very, very active when it comes to NATO-Ukraine cooperation. When I was talking about missile defense earlier, I mentioned the importance of cooperation with Russia. There's a high degree of cooperation between us on common challenges such as counterterrorism, counterpiracy, and Afghanistan. And we just agreed a work program at the last meeting of the NATO-Russia Council, which will bring our practical cooperation yet again to a very high level, I think to an unprecedented level. At the same time, however, major issues still divide us, such as Georgia. Cooperation on missile defense could be a big game changer because it would lead to greater trust, transparency, and greater confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, I've covered the key subjects on NATO's very wide and busy agenda. Our agenda is a challenging one, but it's also one that offers lots of opportunities. Opportunities to ensure that all allies, including Poland, can continue to enjoy peace, stability, and security now, as well as in the future. I would like to only add one comment on the speech of President Ilves, and you said yourself that there have been changes in the last years. I've now had 2 functions in Brussels. I was first the Deputy Perm Rep of Germany, and after that, the Assistant Secretary General. And I can testify here that when it comes to the role of Poland and your own country, Estonia, in either of those committees or in the headquarters in a general sense, that it is very much a proactive role and an important and prominent role. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure not only to host Ambassador Brengelmann here, but to be aware that we have a good dynasty of Assistant Secretary General in NATO. Comparing your introduction with the introductions that we had before, from Claudio Bisogniero, from Edgar Buckley, who is also present here in this theater, I welcome you, Edgar. Personally, Edgar is a friend of the Institute, collaborating with the Institute for years. I have the feeling that there is a continuity of the approach of the Alliance towards Central Europe. So from the position of Central Europe, from this point of view, I encourage all our guests to use this opportunity and to ask questions or remarks, sharing remarks about what Ambassador said before. Bardzo zapraszam Państwa do zadawania pytań i dzielenia się swoimi opiniami. Wykorzystam okazję. I will use this opportunity. And I will tell that in Polish because there are representatives of ministers of Foreign Affairs, of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that's why in Polish. Jest ambasador Winit na sali, minister Sikorski jest dzisiaj za granicą, więc nie mógł być osobiście na naszym spotkaniu, ale przecież Polska, której co najmniej 20 specjalistów zostało wykształconych, wyszkolonych w zakresie obsługi amerykańskich zestawów typu Patriot, mogłaby w moim przekonaniu udzielić bratniej Turcji właśnie takiego wsparcia w postaci tych, którzy taką wiedzę posiadają. W momencie, kiedy NATO decyduje się o przesunięciu do Turcji tych właśnie zestawów patriotów, nasi specjaliści z Wojsk Obrony Przeciwlotniczej mogliby do nich dołączyć i tego typu osobiste know-how mogłoby być przedmiotem polskiego wkładu do wsparcia Turcji w sytuacji, kiedy ten kraj jest zagrożony. I've been talking about the potential Polish contribution concerning those specialists that were educated during last several rotations of Patriot missiles in Poland. It wouldn't be a huge contribution because more than 20, but only more than 20 personnel were educated and trained. Perhaps Turkey would welcome such a contribution from Polish side to the defense and protection of its soil. Thank you very much, Ambassador.